So after Friday the 13th Part 8, Paramount just stopped and didn't want to make any more Friday the 13th movies. And after Part 8, I don't blame them because Part 8 to me was the one I could not stand out of the first 8. Like that is the one that to me drove me mad just how to me it was just so bad. It just didn't have it barely had any redeemable qualities to it. And then Paramount quit after this because it made money, of course, like all these movies did, but it didn't make the amount that the previous ones did. And Part 7 was a little lower too, so I feel like Paramount was just thinking, okay, we've milked this enough. Let's just be done with it. Let's end it on a bad note. Um, but they didn't because New Line Cinema bought out part of the Friday the 13th franchise, and by part of it, it's a weird thing where they've said that the Friday the 13th is still Paramount, but you can use Jason in a New Line film with Jason, like a movie about Jason Voorhees, but it can't be called Friday the 13th, which to me is one of the weirdest like deals a company did to cross over. Like that's really odd. And like that's how I this one I'm going to talk about, Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday, isn't called Friday the 13th Part 9. It's just Jason Goes to Hell, the Final Friday. Which I love how this has got another final in the title and it's not the damn last one. I think that's great too. Because this makes it more memorable in the title. And I'm gonna say this. I think this movie is underrated. I feel like people are gonna flip their shit because people hate this movie because Jason is barely in it, just like Part 5, which I love Part 5 too, but Jason Goes to Hell I don't love, but I don't dislike it. I think that especially compared to Part 8, I thought that this was actually a breath of fresh air. I thought that this was actually a really unique Friday film, and it might be the most unique one out of all of them. Because they took away Jason Voorhees. They kill him off in the first 15 minutes, and then keeps switching around through different bodies and kills people that way. And I think that a body swap thing was different and ballsy as hell. That's a ballsy idea for this franchise, especially for fans who, like every other franchise, get pissed about a lot of different things that happen. Like, if it's different, then they're going to hate it for the most part. And this was no exception because this movie was trashed by critics, trashed by fans. But to me, I think this is a way better movie than Part 8. I seriously do. I think this is a not a great Friday movie, but it is a good one. I think it is one. If I would rank it out of 5 stars for Friday the 13th, like for the franchise, I'd say this is a 3 out of 5. It is pretty good. It's not great, but it's not bad. I think that this movie, like I said, is an interesting idea. I like the idea of Jason doing a body swap thing. I like the idea of having something different. Because, like I said with Part 8, it really wore its welcome, for me, anyways. It wore my welcome so much with Part 8 and a tiny bit of 7, but Part 8 really just killed the franchise and how it felt for me. And I felt like this was a great breath of fresh air, and I thought that these characters are not like the best characters in the franchise, but these characters are fine. I thought that Steven was fine. I thought that Jessica was fine. I thought that I cared for them. I thought the acting was better than the last one. I thought that besides the basic idea of this being different, I think that it just was kind of well done. It had things that I do not like about it, though, but I felt like it didn't disservice the movie as much as Part 8. I feel like this one has some shitty things about it, definitely, and to me, they're not ones that people usually complain about. Like Rusty Schwimmer's character, I could not stand this character. She was so obnoxious and so horrible. Like one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in a horror movie. Like she just like whenever she has the scene where she is screaming at the guy or Jason as the guy killing the her husband, like putting him in the oven, putting him in the fryer. She's screaming at him all these obscenities, and it is annoying and obnoxious. And whenever she gets her face smashed in, like shoulder just smashes her in, it feels so rewarding whenever she finally gets to shut the fuck up because she is just the most annoying, obnoxious character in the entire franchise, honestly, for me. I think she is the most annoying, and I could not stand her. And I thought that it's that's one of the things is that a lot of the side characters like Part 8 are pretty just pointless, even though you can argue every side character in these films are pointless, but I felt like they were really pointless in this. And I felt like the main characters were fine. I thought they were better than the last one. I thought that the side characters were not great or all right, or I hated them, like Richie Swimmer's character. And I liked the idea of having them have kind of this legit in for Jason, and I liked using that as a tin pole for this movie. Also, there's another thing I didn't like. I wanted to point out because this is not made good in the movie or even makes sense in the movie is the Creighton Duke character, who is this character who talks really badass like he is. He's killed a lot of people. He seems like he's like this badass that nobody can like touch. And you don't understand why he is after Jason at all. He's trying to get Jason the whole movie. And he dies, so he loses on that bet, but it doesn't make any sense why he's after Jason. And then apparently there's a script where Creighton Duke, the character, he had a girlfriend and they were in Camp Crystal Lake and Jason killed the girlfriend. So that would make more sense to have in the movie than have him just be this random guy who comes in and acts all badass but has nothing to do with the plot. Like he's just there. He just comes in, acts badass, and tries to talk about Jason. Like he knows all this history about him, but we never understand how he knows this history or why. It's really dumb and really it makes no sense. It's whenever there's no script that gives us this information that about him and his past with Jason. Like it didn't make any sense in the movie, and I had to look that up to realize what is going on with this character. So I didn't like him either, just because he wasn't a properly developed character, and it's really odd the way he is perceived in this movie, and they don't care about how he is perceived. And I like the ending too. I like that Jason literally goes to hell at the end. I thought that was a great ending. And I thought that just like the fourth film, the final chapter, another final movie, that it has a stinger at the end just like part 4 where it's gonna continue even though it's the final chapter. I love how they do that every time. But in this one, we get the ultimate tongue-in-cheek joke of the movie in which New Line now has Jason Voorhees. They've always wanted a Freddy vs. Jason match, and then the end of this movie, Jason's mask is in the sand, and Jason has been dragged to hell. But then, looking at his mask in the sand, Freddy's glove pops out, grabs it, and drags it into the ground. And that is one of the coolest scenes, like little Easter egg scenes in a movie. I think that is awesome that you have Freddy Krueger's hand come up and grab Jason's mask. So it sets up the fight for Freddy versus Jason. Even though, of course, we get the worst movie, in my opinion, out of all of them after this that is not about Freddy versus Jason. It's about Jason in space. But I like that we got this little Easter egg and hint to what's coming, even though we had to wait a shitty movie to get to the next one, to get to Freddy vs. Jason. But I liked that ending a lot. I thought that was really a great addition. I really, really enjoyed that. And the movie, I feel like the movie is not, it's not the worst. I feel like people, feel free to think whatever you want about these movies, but I feel like a lot of people hate this movie because Jason's not in it, just like Part 5. And I feel like that to me isn't as much of a problem for me. I feel like if the movies can do fine and entertain you on its own, then that's fine. And this was entertaining. It was entertaining. It was gory as hell. These characters, I thought the main characters at least were more interesting than the last one. The acting was better than the last one. The side characters have the same issue like the Part 8, where they're just not that, I don't care about them. But I thought that it had a great ending. I thought it had a cool idea that was ballsy as hell that they did this and actually wanted to challenge its Friday the 13th audience. And I think that's great that they wanted to challenge them. But of course, everybody got pissed and said this is one of the worst Friday films out of all of them. And fuck that, because Jason X, I think, is the absolute worst. Speaking of which, I'm going to talk about that piece of shit next. And I'm not excited about it.